Welcome to the stream, this Thursday edition. Usually you're used to seeing me on Thursday nights. Today you're seeing me a little bit early because there is absolute breaking news in the world of compound Tirzepatide. Perhaps something that we've all expected, but when it comes and it actually happens, it's definitely worth covering here at OnThePen. So we're going to get right into it. If you're just joining, my name is Dave Knapp. I'm the ManOnMounjaro. That's why I'm here. You are on the pen, where we talk about Wegovy, Saxenda, Victoza, Trulicity, Mounjaro, Zepbound, and compounds. We talk about all of that. And of course, compounds have been the talk of the community for some time now. And Lilly has really fired the first shot, and it's loud. The pharmaceutical behemoth has sent some chilling messages today in their decision to basically send out hundreds, this was first reported by Bloomberg, hundreds of cease and desist letters to telehealth companies, to compound pharmacies, and to med spas. And this really could mark the beginning of an avalanche that could bury access to these affordable compounded medications for, at this point, millions of people who have relied on them during the national shortage that was ended by the FDA just this past week. And the unfortunate thing is that this is creating an absolutely devastating human toll for patients who have turned to compound Tirzepatide when their insurance left them in the dust, when they could not get prior authorizations, or when they simply could not find the branded medication, which many still cannot. Put in the comments of this video if you are still struggling. Of course, it wouldn't be an OnThePen without the light acting tricky. You know, people have been fighting for access to this medication, and the compounded versions of Tirzepatide, though not FDA-approved versions, were available during this shortage and offered a lifeline to those people who couldn't afford the over $1,000 list price or the $650 price tag that comes along with the savings card for those with commercial insurance. Now, with Lilly gearing up to absolutely just crush this competition that's been created with the compound pharmacies, the most vulnerable patients, the people who were just scraping by, are struggling to find alternatives, and their future is uncertain. And this is just the human toll cannot be overstated here. It's just absolutely devastating. And without cheaper options, many are going to be forced to make a heartbreaking decision to either give up their treatment that reclaim their lives or find another way to foot the bill. Tonight at OnThePen, we're going to bring you a story of somebody who has just an absolutely devastating story of her health over the last year and what access to Zepbound has done for her health, and the struggles that she has faced fighting insurance and all these battles. And so we're going to bring you a personal story about this tonight. But when Lilly stopped reporting Tirzepatide as in shortage back a couple of months ago, we knew here at OnThePen that it was signaling a new era where Tirzepatide could be locked firmly behind the brand's patent. And it wasn't just a warning to you. It was a canary in the coal mine, right? We knew that what was gearing up here was a full-scale defense of Eli Lilly's intellectual property. And that's why we are seeing this fight, this tug of war between now really the compound pharmacies and Eli Lilly. Now, for those who are unaware, for those who may be watching, who are new to OnThePen, who may not follow this as closely as others, I want to just give a real brief flyover. Compounded medications are made by specialized pharmacies, 503A and 503B. 503A are the traditional compound pharmacies that you're used to going to and having a medication mixed with something else because you can't tolerate the branded medication. Perhaps you get it in a different dose than is commercially available. 503As have always been able to operate that way, but they're not allowed to just, doctors are not allowed to prescribe those type of medications in inordinate amounts. And of course, Lilly's going to push back hard against that. 503Bs actually are the reason that there has been a large scale availability of these medications, because 503B pharmacies can mass produce these medications in times of shortage. And so, interestingly enough, if a drug that is on the FDA shortage list can be made by these 503B compounding pharmacies, if they are in a declared shortage. That's why the FDA choosing to remove Tirzepatide from the FDA shortage list was such a massive move, because it essentially halts compounding 503B pharmacies from being able to compound these medications, thus just choking off access to, literally at this point, millions of people. So these people are really left in the dust right now. They have a couple different options. They can either find a way to fork over the $650 or $1,100, depending on their insurance situation, or they will be looking at entirely different medications. And we know that Tirzepatide is uniquely impactful on not only obesity, but the host of associated comorbidities. And the other options that are available on the market are not quite as strong. Now, semaglutide would be a close second. Of course, semaglutide remains on the FDA shortage list, as Wegovy. The starter doses have been rolled in a shortage to help accommodate the supply of the upper doses, kind of throttling how many people can start the medication. This secures semaglutide's spot on the FDA shortage list as long as Novo Nordisk continues to do that. But for those who thought they had found a sustainable path with compound Tirzepatide, this avalanche of cease and desist orders that come today are an absolute gut punch, because these compounds really filled the gap. They filled the gap for people who had accessibility issues. And it's really the sad thing for me is when you consider the human toll. Again, we're going to be covering this on OnThePen tonight, Thursday night. Our live show happens every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Central. And we're going to be telling a very personal story from a member of the community whose life has been transformed by this medication, right? But you think of the mother who finally had the energy to keep up with her kids because she could finally get her obesity in check. You think about the man who's out there who maybe avoided a costly or potentially risky surgery because he was able to get the weight down with the branded or the Tirzepatide, the non-branded medication. Or the woman who, after years of struggling with weight gain and PCOS, finally saw some real progress, meaningful progress. And now that the compounds have been swept away, like, where do these people turn? Where do these people turn? We've been calling on Eli Lilly to release all the vials. That would help. But unless they're released at a price point that is somewhat congruent with where the compounded versions of these drugs have been, I don't know where these people are supposed to turn other than to other options entirely. And my main fear in this is that I think it's going to drive a lot of people to the gray market. I think you're going to see a deluge of patients who look that way, who never would have considered it before. And that is unfortunate. And that is at the feet of the FDA and Eli Lilly for really, in my opinion, not accurately assessing the shortage situation. Lilly's, of course, going to report the shortage in a way that most best positions Eli Lilly. But as the FDA, it's incumbent upon the FDA to assess that situation appropriately. And when we have members of our community that cannot get their medication through Eli Lilly Direct, through the telemedicine companies that they work with at Lilly Direct, it doesn't get more direct than drugs directly from the manufacturer to the pharmacy, right? They cut out the distributors. And if the pharmacies that are working with Lilly Direct cannot fulfill orders and can't, in some cases, even give a timeline for when they can fulfill orders, certainly that drug is not commercially available. Should not be assumed to be commercially available. Is there any relief on the horizon, though? That's the real question. And of course, there's a lot of news that's been coalescing over the last couple of days. Just a couple of days ago, I covered an emergency motion that was filed by the Outsourcing Facilities Association, the OFA, against the FDA, seeking a temporary restraining order that would halt the FDA's enforcement actions, which could severely limit compound Tirzepatide. So in other words, the 503B pharmacies that I mentioned before have a 60-day off-ramp to ramp down their production. Of course, these cease and desist letters are going to argue otherwise, that they don't have that latitude and that telemedicine companies should not continue to fulfill prescriptions for patients already on Tirzepatide. It's just a complicated thing, but this could ultimately, if this temporary restraining order is put on the FDA, which we should have a ruling on that in the coming days, then they would not be able to enforce sort of what they have ruled on there at the FDA. So that'll be a huge one to watch. Of course, we are watching that extremely closely here at OnThePen. Make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the bell for notifications. If you're watching on another platform, make sure that you follow in the appropriate way so that you get all the information. We have a great blog article at onthepen.com about all of this. We've been covering this for months and months and months as we've seen this time sort of coming and fully anticipated what we've seen today. So lots to cover, lots to follow. As always, stay tuned to OnThePen. We're going to always give you in-depth analysis on what's going on. This is what we do here at OnThePen. We try to take the news of the day, whether it be news like this or clinical trial data that drops, and we try to bring that to you in a patient-centric way, a way that means something impactful for you so that you can have more competent and confident conversations with your medical provider. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being the best part of OnThePen. Thank you for joining for this update. Make sure you pop over to onthepen.com and sign up for email alerts where we have covered this very, very, very closely. You'll follow along on that blog. You'll never miss a thing. So we will be back with updates tonight on OnThePen Live, 9 p.m. Central on YouTube. And we hope that you'll join us. Drop it in the chat if you plan on joining us for a great community story tonight. Can't wait to bring it to you. And I just so look forward to our getting together every week at OnThePen. Until tonight, I hope that y'all have a great day, and we'll catch you later.